I am ready to leave Mike Budenholzer in the past. I do not care about firing 3 coaches in 3 years. I do not care about the fact that there are other problems because those can't be fixed if you can't fix this. Chris Haynes reported earlier this morning that Mike Budenholzer had a one-on-one meeting with Devin Booker where he asked him to, and I'm quoting Chris Haynes, tone it down vocally, leaving Devin Booker shocked. Now, before we give our thoughts on it, I do want to play what Mike Budenholzer had to say about this hashtag Haynes brief in pregame availability.
Well, Devin and I have lots of conversations, so I think it's super healthy. Internally, some of this stuff has been shared with me, so usually I'm kind of naive or in a cave, but Devin's care factor's off the charts. Devin always starts with himself. He's always pushing all of us to be better. Devin's awesome, and his communication is awesome. His style is great. So I get it. I understand. I don't think I don't have a lot more to say. There's conversations that Devin and I have all the time. And I'm good with those conversations. We don't always agree on everything. I think he actually appreciates it. I appreciate it. So, I think I'll leave it there.
Man, you can't have that issue, have that conversation, or what sounds like multiple conversations about it, and then come out and say this communication is great. Like it's either one or the other.
And that's the thing,
you don't get
right?
to the point that you're at now without having not liked some version of his communication that's taken place over the last month or whenever this started.
I'll be so honest with you. I don't trust a damn thing that he says. Nothing. Right? Nothing. Now, I understand that the Nurkic situation, it's his own situation in a vacuum. This is not the first time that we've gotten conflicting reports about who Mike Budenholzer is and isn't talking to and what they're talking about. I don't trust the guy. I quite simply don't trust him. I don't trust the fact that he's like, oh, no, it's fine. Everything's good. Everything's great. Because if you listen to what Devin Booker had to say in his post-game comments, you know that everything was not okay. And I understand, and trust me, I get the media game. Like, we understand the media game more than most because we have to be a part of that machine a lot of the times. We are a part of that machine, whether we like it or not.
Exactly.
Things leak for certain reasons. Certain camps have agendas. That being said, what I think Chris Haynes reported, which I choose to believe is true, it just feels like a frustration play, but one that I would make as well. Because if that's true, what the hell are you doing? Like, if that is true, and Mike Budenholzer, after one of the worst losses of the season, went to his most vocal leader, somebody who quite literally has been maligned for not being a vocal leader, who finally kind of steps outside the box and says something post-game and tells him to stop, that coach should be fired. Gone. And I'll stand on this. Tonight was a great win. Very happy with tonight. I do not have a lot of problems with Bud tonight. But that is maybe one of like 5 games that I have felt that way this entire season. And when there's other reporting from Gambo, who says people within the Suns organization say Mike Budenholzer is miserable to deal with. With all of that going on, I am ready for this franchise to move on. I am ready to leave Mike Budenholzer in the past. I do not care about firing 3 coaches in 3 years. I do not care about the fact that there are other problems because those can't be fixed if you can't fix this. Is the roster subpar? Yes. Have the players not lived up to expectations? Yes. But day in and day out, I believe the root of the issue as to why the Phoenix Suns are out of the play-in with the Portland Trailblazers hot on their ass is because of Mike Budenholzer's culture-making, decision-making, or lack thereof. I'm over it. I'm sick of it, and there needs to be change. And there needs to be change beyond that, but that needs to be the first move, and I would not be mad if I woke up tomorrow morning and I got that notification on my phone. I don't want that to be the case. I wish Mike Budenholzer nothing but the best personally. I hope you can find happiness, and if that comes in coaching, I hope you can find a spot that's better fit for you, because Phoenix is not it. And as a fan of this franchise, I can't take it anymore. Can't do it anymore. I'm over it. You've shown what you can do, and I'm calling it like it is. I'm done. A win doesn't change that against the Zion Williamson-less New Orleans Pelicans. And scene.
Well said. You said it all. I don't disagree with a bit of what you said. I still feel that there's portion of blame to the players in terms of their execution, and I'm not saying that you're absolving them of any of it, but I just want to make sure we're also just kind of looking at it as a whole, because like we've talked about, all of us on this podcast have spoken to the issues with this team expanding past any particular person. But to your point, you said the head of the snake. I feel like that was appropriate in pregame. The person that a lot of the things are emanating from is at the top of it, and that's the person that's putting players in these positions, that's created the culture or lack thereof, the ecosystem or lack thereof, the process or lack thereof. Like, it starts there and then it trickles down.
Yeah.
But it starts there.
Yeah. Listen, we spent, and you can go back and you can watch all of these post games. I think we actually spent, for when this team really started to go off the rails at the beginning, we spent a lot of time singling out the players.
Definitely
okay?
Did.
Anytime Devin Booker had a bad game,
he was the main culprit because he left a lot more to be desired earlier in the season.
Anytime that happened, despite what Katie stands in our chat will say, we called him out. Anytime Kevin Durant hasn't played up to his standard, we've called him out. I've called out Tyus. I've called out Plumlee. I called out Nurkic. I've called out Richards. I've called out Grayson Allen. I've called out Royce O'Neal. I've called out Ryan Dunn when he needs to play better. I've called out Oso Ighodaro. I've called out every single player on this damn roster when they haven't been living up to expectations. But as this season has progressed, as we've seen it all unfold out in front of us, it's very clear to me what problem number one is. And that is Mike Budenholzer. And I really wish it wasn't. Because going into this season, I was full on belief in Mike Budenholzer. But this is not the same dude who coached those Milwaukee Bucks. That guy had flaws. This dude is built out of flaws. And I just don't get it. And I hope that he's okay. I hope there's nothing going on. I don't know. Sometimes personal life can get crazy and it can distract you from your job. But his answers in a post-game availability, his inability to explain some of his decisions beyond a gut feeling, inability to make in-game adjustments, and then it goes beyond with culture. And if this is true from Chris Haynes, it's indefensible at this point. Like, you can't sit back, which I have multiple times this season, and ask yourself a legitimate question of, is this head coach making a decision to actually win this game? Is he making a decision in the best interest of this franchise? If I have to do that, not just one-off, but as a pattern, that's a problem. And if Mike Budenholzer is done, I'll say this right now before we get to the off-season search and all the names, I don't want to retread. I don't want a Mike Brown. I don't want a Dwayne Casey. I don't want the Monty Williams one-year deal, Mike Budenholzer back, Frank Vogel back. I don't want that anymore. What is the Oklahoma City Thunder being led by right now?
One of the younger coaches in the league.
Boston Celtics?
One of the younger coaches in the league.
Detroit Pistons?
One of the younger coaches in the league. Albeit more experienced, but still one of the younger coaches in the league.
A new era. A new coach. Toronto Raptors, Rajakovic, Brooklyn Nets. Like, there are a generation of coaches that were fantastic at what they did. But every 10 years or so, the game develops and adapts so much that only a select few make it through to that next wave. We're talking your Spos, your Pops, like those, your Phil Jacksons, Steve Kerrs of the world. These are the coaches that make it out there, right? That get through the fine-tooth comb that is the evolution of the NBA. Mike Budenholzer is not one of those coaches.